All right, let's talk about PFC. This is the cornerstone of the Fit 40 nutrition program. So, we want to master this. That way, you can set yourself up for success and be able to reach your goals when it comes to body composition, performance, and all that good stuff without having to stress so much about the calories and the macros and all that good stuff. So, what is what does PFC stand for? Protein, fiber, and color. All right, now let's go through protein first. How much should we get? Ideally, 3 to 6 palms a day. And that's thickness and density of your palm, not counting your fingers, and about yay thick. Now, on your tracker, you're going to see it's going to say protein and in parentheses 3 to 6. What that means is if you can do this 3 times a day and check it off, like I'm about to show you at the end of this on the tracker, if you check it 3 times, you're good to go. It's going to give you a big check mark, and that's a really good baseline. But we really want to strive to get 6 of these a day because that's going to get us in the ballpark of where your protein is adequate enough to support your workouts, to have you feeling really, really full, and to reap all the rewards that come with a high protein diet. Big one being very favorable body composition. So, more lean muscle and less body fat, usually. So, what counts as a palm? First is cooked meat, poultry, fish, any of that stuff where you could take a look at your palm, look at what's on the plate as far as the meat, poultry, fish go, and you're like, that's about right. Another thing is Greek yogurt. So, when it comes to Greek yogurt, it's usually about in that 20-gram mark, around that cup size. So, just double check if you get the little cups of Greek yogurt, we want 20 grams to be our servings. So, if that requires 2 cups, then go with 2 cups, and that counts as a 1 palm since we're at that 20-gram mark. A scoop of protein powder, those again are usually about 20 grams, or a handful of eggs. 3 eggs, I believe, gets you over the 20-gram mark. So, assuming they're normal size eggs, that should be plenty for you. And then, when in doubt, like I've been saying, 20 grams, let that be your guide. As long as it's a lean source of protein, you're good. Now, what counts as a lean source? Anything that gets the majority of calories from protein. So if you're shopping and you're getting ground meat, look for 90% or higher. So you can go 93.7, 99, like any of those are good. Greek yogurt instead of regular yogurt, because Greek is going to have more protein. Eggs or egg whites, or a combo of both, because if you like doing omelets or like anything with eggs, one easy way to get a lot of protein but not go crazy on the fats is to basically take an egg or two and add in egg whites. That way, you're getting all the benefits from the yolk, but you're not going extra high on the calories because you added full eggs instead of just egg whites. So if you do like an egg or two and then throw egg whites on top, that's a way to get the best of both worlds. And then when we go on the vegan/vegetarian side, tofu, tempeh, uh, edamame, all really good choices as well. Now, one simple way to tell if a meal or snack is high protein or not is just by adding a 0 to the grams of protein. So if you're in a pinch and you're in the grocery store and you really got to just make a quick decision, this is one of the easiest ways to do that. So if it is that many calories or less, it's high protein. If it isn't, then it's not for that amount of calories. So I know that sounds a little confusing. Let's break it down. So let's say you get a protein bar at the grocery store and it's 12 grams of protein and about 200 calories. If you add a 0 to that 12 grams, then it should be 120 calories or less. Now, being that that protein bar is 200, it's not 120, it is not considered lean. Okay. You see this a lot with protein bars, with anything that says high protein on it, usually is not high protein. Um, and then when it comes to simple strategies to get more protein, just always get double. If you're at Chipotle or Cava or any of these places where they have scoops, just tell them 2, please. Or if you're out to dinner, get at least 6 ounces of whatever you're getting, whether that's a steak or fish or chicken or whatever. Just make sure that it's about that 6 ounce size. If it's a 4 ounce, then see if they could up it a little bit. Start each meal thinking, what is the protein source? Because a lot of times we have these meals in our heads and we don't really think what's the protein. We just think, oh, this is a meal. So pasta dishes are notorious for this. Think, how am I going to get more protein in this thing? And there's many, many different ways to do that. And then when in doubt, have a protein snack ready to go. All right, let's talk fiber. So, when it comes to fiber, the habit of fiber, the goal is to get at least 3 sources daily. Now, more is usually better unless you have something like IBS, where You might have to dial it down at certain points to let your body recover a little bit, but any amount right now is a great start, assuming that your body is feeling good. Now, what counts as fiber? Because when it comes to the color side of things, obviously fruits and veggies have fiber in them, but we're not counting those because extra fiber is usually good since most people don't reach their fiber recommendations for the day. So if we're getting two sources of it on the plate 3 times a day, we're in a really good spot. And this is more so for making smart swaps, making sure that we're not going with these empty calorie options that are less nutritious. So when it comes to starches, grains, or add-ons that we are going to count as fiber, that's going to come from things like potatoes, whole grains, beans and lentils, avocado, nuts, seeds. So when you have a chance to choose a side, opt for the potatoes or like sweet potato or anything like that. Or if you have bread or something, whole grains. If you're getting Chipotle, throw some beans in there. If you are having a salad, nuts and seeds and avocado will be your fiber source in there. So add those on. And then when it comes to strategies for more fiber, simple, like basically what I just said, when it comes to bread, instead of white, go for the whole grain. Okay. Whole grain slash lentil pasta instead of the regular. That's also going to get you a lot of protein in there as well. Cauliflower pizza crust instead of the traditional pizza crust. Fair warning, a lot of the cauliflower crusts absolutely suck. As somebody who unfortunately has to be gluten free, I can tell you firsthand. But if you do find a really good spot that you trust, it can, again, just fill you up a lot more, get you some extra protein in there, and get you your fiber as well. Choosing brown rice instead of white rice is also a really good one because, again, that'll just get you more fiber than the white rice otherwise would. And then when it comes to the add-ons, like I said, with the nuts, throwing them in the salad, some avocado on a sandwich, you could do that. Adding beans to a burrito bowl, like when you're at Chipotle, another easy one. Now let's talk about color. So what we're gonna cover when it comes to the color side of things is what the habit is, the sources of color, and the strategies to get more in your diet. So, how much should we get? When it comes to the habit of color, we want about a fist size. So, that could be like an apple that's about the size of your fist. If you're grabbing some salad and you're on a line at like a banquet style dinner, just try and grab about a fist size of the salad, something simple like that. Don't overthink it. Veggies are very low calories, so the more the better. If you go over a fist size, not a bad thing. What counts as color? Pretty much any fruit or vegetable. That's it. It's that simple. Some strategies to get more in. It doesn't have to be, oh, we have to force all these vegetables that we grew up with as kids that we absolutely hated. That's the only way to get healthy. No, that is not. Let's make it simple. Let's make it easy. So that could be something as simple as just throwing some lettuce and tomato on your sandwich. That's fine. We can count that. Check, count it. Peppers and onions with sausage or peppers and onions in an omelet. That's a really simple way to do it as well. Or if you like Asian style food, stir fry vegetables in with some rice and some chicken or shrimp or whatever. That's another easy way to do it. Just basically stuff that already has vegetables included that you're like, oh, I didn't even really think about getting veggies with this meal. It just so happened to have vegetables. Okay. Some simple swaps would be like a lettuce wrap instead of a flour wrap, getting vegetables on a pizza, which honestly underrated. I used to be very against it, but I'm growing more into it and it's really not bad at all. And I'm starting to like crave it a little bit. Uh, Next is salsa with Mexican dishes. So pico de gallo and stuff like that can also add a lot of color to a plate. Very, very easy to do. And veggies mixed in with mashed potatoes. This is a thing I did as a kid and I still do as an adult. Basically, just whatever veggie you got, take a scoop of mashed potatoes with the fork, stick the vegetables and eat it with the mashed potatoes. And together, it's usually more palatable that way and really easy to get the kids to do too. So if you really struggle with vegetable intake, that's a really good one to try out. Now, what about fats? Okay, we got protein, we got fiber, we got color, but what the heck? What about fats? Okay, when it comes to fats, we want to focus on cooking with and consuming high quality fats like mono and polyunsaturated sources. These are things like olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, low fat cheeses, things like that. Now, when we do this, This is why we measure the food in the beginning, because fats are notorious for being able to overeat really, really easily. So when you are pouring out a thing of olive oil and you're about to cook, or whatever oil you're using, measure it to be about 100 calories. Okay, we want it to be just about that much because that's usually all that you need. And when it comes to sauces, too, this is another big one. If you can keep it to about 100 calories worth, whatever that ends up being that you measure out, that's usually all you need to get the taste. And it's not going to feel the same as you're used to. And it's not going to taste the same as you're used to that like amplified amount. But you'll find that you need less and less and less as you do it this way. And then when you're out to dinner, it's always worth asking if it's a possibility to get less oil, like for them to cook with less oil. If you're at a really fancy steakhouse, please don't do this because you might hurt some feelings. But if you're out to like a chain restaurant or like a local place that really doesn't mind, and maybe you know the owner or whatever, like never hurts to ask. What about calories? Okay, at the end of the day, calories do matter, and this is just one way to control them and have some sort of a structure so that way you're in a pretty good spot. Now, if done correctly, the PFC method will result in consuming roughly 15 to 2100 calories. So, how does that break down? When it comes to protein, if we're following that zero rule and we're like making sure that we're getting about 20 grams at 200 calories or less, three servings will be about 600 calories or less. Or if you get up to the six servings, that's going to be about 1200 calories or less. Fiber, we're sticking to about that 200 mark because if you're having, say, a couple of slices of bread on a sandwich and then you have like a potato at night and then during the morning you have some toast or whatever, or like a breakfast burrito, usually a serving of fiber when you weigh it out or when you pull it out of the package is 100 to 200 calories, and that's about where we want to be. So if you're doing that three times, that's about 600 calories. And then when it comes to color, like I said, fruits and veggies are pretty low on the calorie side of things. They're more like for a fist size, you're usually getting about 100 or less calories. So for three servings throughout the day, that gets you about 300 calories. So that's where you get the 1500 to 2100 calories based on basically how much protein you get is the big differentiator. All right. So that sounds like a lot of calories to a lot of people, but how many calories do you actually need? Ideally, when it comes to when we go into calorie counting, if you do want to go that route, we go with your basal metabolic rate, which is the baseline level of calories you need every day just to survive without experiencing negative effects. You need that, and that's not even talking about activity. Like that's not even taking into account how much you need to exercise, how much you need for basic movement throughout the day, or the thermic effect of food, which is the amount of calories you need just to break food down. So that's usually another few hundred calories there, which is why we put the 200 calories as your range. So again, we're not doing this just yet, but just so you have some sort of an idea and you could put your mind at ease, like it's not that many calories and you're still going to lose inches in weight. Um, if you're 40 years old, a woman who's 5'5", 160, their basal metabolic rate is about 1400 calories. And that would give us a range of 1400 to 1600 calories daily. So if we are following the rules here and we're going in between that 1500 to 2100 calories, you're pretty much going to be right there if you're following three servings of everything. And if you want to get dialed in like that and really like focus on doing things as best as you possibly can, feel free to ask me exactly how much of each we should be doing. But I'm telling you right now, just right now, you can do a lot with a lot of calories. Even if you do get that 2100 mark, many people still will experience what's called a G flux, which is basically you get enough calories, your body tends to move more, which means you burn more. So you actually end up burning more calories than if you eat less. And overall, you lose weight faster and you burn more inches off faster. So it's worth just sticking to it and seeing how your body responds. And if we need to adjust, we're always going to adjust. So how do we track? When it comes to tracking, you're going to see it just like this. It's going to be a little bit different on the wording. I changed it just to say protein and then in parentheses 3 to 6, make it a little simpler. So you give it a click anywhere right here, and then that'll pull this up. And then you hit the plus sign right here. That'll say 1. And if you get two servings, like two palm sizes, you hit it twice, and that's it. And you do that throughout the day. And when you get at least 3, it's going to show you a big check mark. Now, let's say you forgot a day or two ago, but you still remember what you ate. You could use these arrows right here to go back. So you could just click back to wherever you were, fill it out, and then you're good. And then you can hit insight right here to see how accurate you've been. And if you have a streak going, like if you really want to make the most of this, take a look at the insight and try and keep your streak alive. Like if you get all your days in a row stacked up and you know, hey, I'm on a streak right now, it's so much harder to fall off because you have that in the back of your head. Kind of like if you're familiar with Snapchat, that's why it's still alive. People have streaks of sending pictures to their friends for years at this point, and that's why they stay on the app, not because it's great, but because they don't want to break the streak. So use that to your advantage. And then when it comes to the PFC cheat sheet, so let's say you're in a pinch and you're like, oh God, I forgot all the stuff that I just saw on the video. Don't worry, you could always whip this out. You could go to the client resources, you hit the on-demand section right here, and then you click client resources right here, and you're going to see PFC cheat sheet. And that's going to show you pretty much everything I just talked about. And it's got a bunch of sources. So if you're out to grocery shop and you want to get some ideas, then this is an awesome place for that. All right, so that's pretty much all there is to know about PFC. If you have any questions at all when it comes to this stuff, feel free to message me. I'm always happy to help. And yeah, have fun with it. All right, I'll see you later.